Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. It is finished. Woman, behold your son. Today you will be with me in paradise. This Good Friday, we hear the last words of Jesus. This innocent man dying on the cross, who had the presence of mind to think of many other people in the midst of his brutal suffering. He begins by thinking of us. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He is speaking of the people who have sentenced him to death, but in a larger sense, he's really speaking for and about all of us. It wasn't just the Romans and the members of the Sanhedrin who put Jesus on that cross. Indeed, all of us did. He thinks of the criminal crucified next to him when he assures him, "Truly, I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." He thinks of Mary, his mother, when he gives her to John's care by saying, "Woman, behold your son." And since we know that Jesus was fully human, it's only natural that he think of himself when he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And finally, at the very last, he thinks of God when he says, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." His work now is done. His suffering finally is coming to an end, and at the very last, his final thought is of God the Father. Jesus is telling us that his spirit is going to the Father. Now, we don't yet know that he will be resurrected, but we can take comfort in knowing that his spirit will live on with the Father. And we also can now have certainty that at the time of our death, though our bodies will indeed cease to function, our spirit too will ascend to the Father. I find that immensely comforting. Now, these last words of Jesus are recorded in the Gospels. But think about this for a moment. Jesus doesn't need to speak out loud to communicate with God. God the Father and God the Son both know one another's thoughts. They don't need words, but we do. When God speaks from the heavens at Jesus' baptism, at the transfiguration, he's not speaking for Jesus' benefit, but for ours. And in the very same way, when Jesus speaks to God, he's not doing it for God's benefit, but for ours, so that we may hear the conversation and learn from it. He's done this throughout his ministry, and here at the very end, Jesus is still teaching us by speaking aloud to God. Jesus is showing us by his actions and by telling us in words that we need not fear death. Think about that. That's startling. We don't need to fear death because death is not the end. By commending his spirit to God, Jesus is showing us that our spirit will continue after death and that we too will be with God in paradise. Those are amazing words of comfort from a dying man. But of course, we know that this was not just any dying man. As the centurion standing at the foot of the cross would say, "Truly, this man was the Son of God."